Good morning, Emily. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Come on.
A little bit warmer than it was yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
A couple of good frosts. I'll just let the hounds out.
Yep.
Come on. We've got to lift this one down.
Easy old.
There you go, old boy. All right. We're going to have a look at the new boy.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
How has he settled in since he's arrived?
Actually, really, really well. He's been an absolute star. He's, I think it's about 9 or 10 weeks ago that he arrived, and obviously he came straight out of work, out in the paddock, head down, had a look around, he started eating, and we've had a lot of people to the farm, and every time he just bowls out of the box, stands up, he's just fitted in, he's just right at home, so couldn't be happier really, absolutely couldn't be happier.
Thinking about Tivaci in his early years, he was first presented to the sales in the Australian English Easter sale. Tell me a little bit about his history.
Yeah, so bred by Mark Cummins, which is, you know, obviously interesting. Bart famous for a lot of things, but yeah, so he bred the horse and yeah, presented it at English, and he made 250,000 in the ring. Bought by Paul Moroney, who we all know is a wonderful judge, and the story goes that Bruce Perry was actually the underbidder, so you know that holds a lot of strength in his what sort of type he was as a yearling when two top judges like that are fighting it out, and Paul bought it, and then Bruce was looking to buy him on behalf of Lib Britannia, and Moroney's have trained for Lib before, so that's why he ended up back in the horse then at that stage.
And looking a little bit at his pedigree by High Chaparral, what sort of appeals to you about a stallion by High Chaparral?
I think the real thing that appeals to us with Tivaci is he's by High Chaparral, who's been a wonderful sire and obviously left some great race horses. But this horse was most effective from 1200 to 1600, you know, rated as one of Australia's best milers sort of thing. So that to us is a real plus. Obviously, we always look at pedigree, and it really is. It's actually quite a New Zealand family. It's actually a very good Pins horse in the family, and LA Wonder, etc. So Trelawney bred that side of the family. So there is a New Zealand tie up there, but yeah, Fastnet Rocky's obviously he's an outstanding sire. You know, we just keep looking at it. It's a lovely cross, the High Chaparral over Fastnet Rock. And
she's recently gone to the sales, the Dam of Tivaci.
Yeah, so she sold back at the Magic Millions broodmare sale there in June, and foaled a brazen bow and made 950,000, and bought by Dean Hawthorne.
Here's Tivaci coming wide out with a big run. Tivaci's going after Le Romain and Tivaci got up to win the All Age.
He had a really good racing career as well, Tivaci, a successful 3-year-old and 4-year-old career. When did he first come on the radar for you as a stallion?
Bruce actually mentioned the horse to me as a 3-year-old and said keep an eye on this horse, and they were heading him towards the Derby, but once he got past the mile, he wasn't as effective as he was up to the mile, and it took them a couple of runs to work that out, which is fair enough. And certainly when he came back as a 4-year-old, and just before his first start in the listed race, which was a win, Bruce and I spoke that week actually, and he let the ownership know at that stage, and Mike Moroney, that we would be interested, and we had our eye on him. At that stage there, we took a 35% interest in him. On he went, and obviously we had a lot of fun, and the highlight being the all-age stakes. It was so emphatic. He beat 6 Group 1 winners in the field, and the whole racing pattern at Randwick that day was basically off the front or on the speed, and he was last on the turn, and showed obviously a massive turn of foot to pick them up and win very convincingly. Just after Cracker, I popped over and had a look at him on type, and we really are big, call it type buyers. Our stallions have got to be the right type for us, and we're very much type breeders. But when he came out and we looked at him, it only took me a couple of minutes to make my mind up, there's no doubt about that. How
sort of significant was that Group 1 win at the end of his career? That must have just been a fairy tale result with him then retiring to stud.
Yeah, it certainly was, and look, we considered going on up to Brisbane, but certainly with the state of the tracks up there, obviously it wouldn't have been a favourable decision, but And the big thing for us was that obviously any Group 1, they're so hard to win, and having a Group 1 winning sire is the epitome. And also winning in a carnival like that at Randwick over that Sydney carnival. I think it's reasonably fair to say, and arguably whichever way you want to look at it, it's the toughest racing in the world. Obviously we would have stood the horse anyway as a Group 3 winner, Group 1 placed, but to pick up that Group 1 was the ultimate.
There's been a lot of talk in the media recently about racehorses retiring too soon. What's your take on that with Tivaci?
Yes, to be honest, I couldn't agree more. At the end of the day, these colts that are racing, they are retiring very early. A lot of them are retiring very early, and we're great believers in. We want to be producing a product back into our biggest and our strongest market, and this is a horse that could have raced at 2 easily, raced at 3, raced at 4, and in very tough racing. And they quite often go off to stud early these days. Usually, yes, they've won Group 1s and that sort of thing, but I think you need to know that the horse has got durability and longevity. Or certainly with Tivaci, he showed that, and he retired sound.
And you've also got some news with regards to shuttling him. Yeah,
so we had an approach from the UK and the English National Stud, so that was obviously really exciting to start with. And the deal went very smoothly and was put together very simply. Yeah, really exciting news. He'll go up there and we've secured the deal, for multiple years. So it's just another string to his bow and gives him an opportunity up there. And I think the exciting thing is that they sought this horse out, obviously on pedigree, race performance, and then type, and they've pursued and taken him up to England, and he'll go up there under our ownership. So for the opportunity that he'll get, and the opportunities for the syndicate that own the horse, it's just wonderful.
You mentioned a couple of times about the syndication of Tivaci and the ownership of Tivaci. Just explain to me a little bit how that came about.
Yeah, well, the stallion market, especially in Australasia, or especially these Group 1 winning colts that come out of Australia, it's extremely, call it hot and competitive, and so really I believe that these stallions honestly are overpriced. And so therefore, with the price that they are commanding these days in the competitions that's there, the purchasing of them happens very, very quickly. A farm like ourselves, and obviously breeding horses and selling horses, that's our only business. Whereas a lot of our competition now, and certainly in Australasia, it's a secondary business to them. So that's very hard for us to compete against. But anyway, when we do secure these horses, we can't afford to take the risk outright ourselves, and look, we've got wonderful support in New Zealand, and to have the confidence to be able to act quickly like that with the support that we have behind us. Sometimes you need nerves of steel to step out and shake hands on a $10 million horse, and but to be able to go to those people, and you take Savabeel for example. We had him, he was the first $10 million stallion to come to New Zealand, and we separated him into 50 shares. And we always take the major part of them. So I think with Savabeel we're sort of 55 or 60% that we own of him. But then to get on the phone the next day and sell him sort of out of the blue, no one knew 24 hours beforehand sort of thing, but his syndication was sort of done in 24, 48 hours. We do take the major part of them. We're breeding 220 mares. We might have 3, 4, 5 million tied up in any of these individual stallions, so we really want it to work. So we give them every opportunity, so the shareholders, they get the use of them, and at the end of the day we're trying as hard as anyone because we've got the biggest investment in them. A
couple of those people that you mentioned elsewhere in the world, they'd be your competitors, but so unique in New Zealand that they're actually, you're all working together. How important is that for the industry?
Extremely important. Extremely important, first of all, that we have these types of horses, and because at the end of the day, we are only a small breeding industry. Australia is our shop window, and we really need to keep our, let's say, our numbers and our results up there in Australia. So it's very important that we do all work together. And when with the syndication of some of these horses, like with Tivaci, some of the original owners, Australian owners, are still involved in him. Same with Savabeel, you know, Sacred Falls, there's international ownership in him. But certainly to get these horses in New Zealand and the quality of the likes of all of these boys here, it's just so important that we have them.
Talking of Savabeel, Mark, 16 now, and I've seen him today. He's certainly showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, no, that's right. He's a fit, healthy horse. He's a really easy horse to run. In fact, we've sort of got to keep a little bit of an eye on his weight, like all of us as we get a bit older. But no, he's just such a cruiser, and all he worries about is in the box, because he knows there's a chance of having a feed in the breeding shed, and that's it.
And to keep a stallion like him fit, especially in his older years, what kind of things do you do to prepare for a season?
I always think a horse like him that's busy, like he'll serve 150 odd mares this year, that gets them and keeps them pretty fit. But obviously we want them in optimum fitness. But this year actually we've just put in a treadmill for all of the stallions. And you know, the way we look at it is if we can keep them fit, and who knows, but if we get another year out of them, sort of thing, because they're all different individuals, and you know, some of them don't need much work. They're lot of framed, and you know, they don't carry as much condition, and others put on a lot, especially during the off season. So it'll be nice to be able to once again stimulate their minds with something different, and also use it as a fitness tool.
How did it go first day for him stepping out onto that treadmill? Was he a bit surprised?
Yeah, he wasn't sort of too bad. It was interesting. The younger horses that have obviously been on them, let's say the Sacred Falls, the Tivacis, and that, they just got on with it. Ocean Park, he did a lot of work on it when he was in work, so it's not a problem. But the interesting one was Pins. He was like, well, what's going on here? We didn't have these in my day, so it was funny. But I think it'll be a really good tool for them. And as I say, mind stimulation, off doing something else, and fitness.
And you must be delighted, just another sensational year for Savabeel, a clean sweep at the awards. Yeah,
it's certainly a wonderful year this year, and second time he's done that, and only he and O'Reilly have done that, the clean sweep. But I think the big thing, you know, was the 19 individual stakes winners, the different ages, sprint distances through to obviously staying distances. So the versatility is incredible. 19 stakes. It's hard to hit double figures, let alone 19. And obviously the big thing is, you know, he's double figures and stakes winners to runners, which is just an incredible feat. So you know, so it's something that we're all very proud of. And look, you know, thank God he's here at Waikato Stud and doing the job that he is, and thank God for New Zealand's sake he is as well.
You mentioned O'Reilly there. How would you compare sort of a great in Savabeel with one of your previous greats in O'Reilly? Yeah,
they're sort of hard to compare, and you know, like, personality-wise, they all have their own personalities, which I know, you know, certainly myself and David O'Leary that's been with us many years, and Sam Roberts, they're guys with a lot of experience you know, with horses, full stop, but let alone stallions. And I know with these boys and especially myself, the stallions in particular hold a really strong place in our heart, because it's a very skillful job. I believe you have to treat them as blokes, you have to treat them as mates, but then again you can't let them get away with too much, because at the end of the day if they get on top of you, obviously you've got a real problem. So, but comparing Savabeel with O'Reilly, they were boxed next door to each other. They were both gentlemen, well they are both gentlemen, we're both gentlemen. Great horses to work with, and you know, just horses that just, I suppose, from race horses through to stallions, the breeding shed, the going in and out to the paddock, in the box, and that sort of thing, they're horses that just get on with it.